Welcome everyone to another episode of In the Invisible, the podcast that seeks to unveil the depths of spiritual knowledge. Studying the book In the Invisible by Léon Denis. I'm John, and by my side, the always insightful Sarah.
It's a pleasure to be here again. And today we're embarking on a fascinating chapter that invites us to reflect on the very journey of spiritual knowledge. The Ascensional March? Methods of study.
Indeed. A theme that takes us back to the continuous evolution of humanity and, consequently, of Spiritism itself. Léon Denis presents a very clear vision of this progression. He states, as it spreads, however, the struggle between deniers and believers becomes more intense. The old world is startled. It feels threatened. The struggle for life is no more violent than the conflict of ideas. How do you see this struggle that Denis mentions?
It's a very pertinent observation, and one that resonates even today. This resistance to the new is natural. Humans at times cling to the familiar, to routine, and any idea that threatens the status quo causes a jolt. Denis completes this idea by saying, the antiquated, incomplete idea desperately clings to acquired positions and resists the efforts of the new idea, which wants to take its place in the sun. It's a process we observe in various fields of knowledge, not just in Spiritism.
And he goes further, stating that this resistance has its usefulness, as it makes innovators more astute and the progress of the human spirit more thoughtful. It's almost as if friction drives improvement.
Exactly. And the beauty is that, despite the denials and mockery, spiritual belief strengthens and grows. This shows us the resilience of truth when based on solid principles.
And speaking of solidity, Denis invites us to think about methods of study. He highlights two ways to acquire the science of the afterlife: experimental study, and on the other, intuition and reasoning, which only trained intellects know how to and can use. What is the relevance of each of these methods, in your opinion?
Experimental study, he says, is preferred by the majority of our contemporaries. And it makes sense, as we live in an era that values the tangible. The proof. Well-proven physical phenomena have, for our scholars, unequaled importance. It is through the brutal fact, the authentic fact, that doubt can be dispelled and investigation encouraged.
So, the physical phenomenon would be a kind of gateway, an invitation to delve deeper?
Precisely. It is a transition to less mundane manifestations. And these manifestations, which are, at the same time intellectual and spiritual, constitute the most important side of Spiritism. This is where consolation manifests most intimately, Denis says. An affectionate word, a moral proof coming from them, will do much more to convince than all material phenomena.
This leads me to reflect on the importance of our attitude towards these experiences. It's not just about observation, but moral elevation. Denis is categorical. It is necessary to combine theoretical knowledge with the spirit of scientific investigation and moral elevation. To be truly able to discern good from evil, truth from falsehood, reality from illusion in Spiritism. That's quite a challenge.
A challenge that invites us to self-knowledge and purity of intentions. The science of the invisible is, above all, a science of the spirit.
Very well. To conclude, I leave a question for our listeners. In what way can experimental study and moral elevation complement each other in our search to understand the invisible world and ourselves?